Folks, here we are once again. Hey, it's Yelling at Robots. What you are seeing and enjoying is our beloved co-host and co-pilot, Ian Thelonious Fosbury, getting himself set up in his new high-tech. He went on a gadget spree. He's got some new toys. And I wanted to capture his awkward adjustments, although it looks like you've settled in, actually. So
I have.
We just got a taste.
Well, if I have to, I don't know that I'll ever be able to get up from the position I'm in right now, though. Yeah.
What I can tell you is you will be able to get up from the position you're in exactly 30 minutes. Hey Siri, start a timer for 30 minutes. Cool. Welcome. It's been a while. It's been a minute. This is Yelling at Robots, episode 18, I think. I have a backlog to edit, so I lose count. Yeah. We'll get into that when we talk about it. Episode 18. Action.
Get ready. It's time for world famous Yelling at Robots, starring tech legend Joshua Raphael Reynolds and Ian Thelonious Fosbury. The show starts now.
It's not 20. Will we celebrate at 20?
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
How
celebrating? I celebrated Alexei Novikov's birthday yesterday.
Not interested. I want to know how we're going to celebrate when our podcast turns. Wait, how when our?
You know how old he is. You saw in the chat. He's 44.
I know. I don't want to out. I don't know. You know he.
Okay.
Alexei,
bleep that.
No, we haven't said anything. There's nothing to bleep. Also, my auto bleep pipeline will not bleep compromising information that we reveal about people, or if you say your social security number, that will pass through. I told Ian earlier this week I've been working on an auto bleeping pipeline because I realized when I was editing, one of the biggest time sucks of preparing this podcast is bleeping all the profanity, because by the way, my good friend Ian Thelonious Fosbury likes to curse. This boy has the mouth of a sailor. Just a little bit. And then when he gets going, I get going. Yeah, so
that's right.
So we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
hey man, people that curse are more trustworthy. Said that one study that I think was done by someone who curses a lot.
It's the end of a long work week. Both Ian and I have. Let's just say we're pretty loaded up at work right now.
Timo, sorry we didn't release an episode.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Well, it is nice to hear from the fans. I will say that.
I know.
And it's
Just
nice
kidding.
when they're clamoring for more content. I haven't heard from anyone else on the interwebs apart from Timo in our group chat, but even that feels pretty good.
The Zig'pire strikes back. Get ready to suck a D, rust buckets.
First up, let's hit Zig first, because I think we're going to want to get pretty deep into the hack and the implications of the hack. And actually, before we get into it, Ian, what do you want to tell us about your new piece of kit that you have there? Ian has gone full influencer mode, folks. He is all in. I don't know if you've seen TikTok, but he is.
Well, 2 episodes ago, you were using one of these in the vampire hotel room or whatever you were in.
Yeah.
And the blood room, and it sounded good.
It's like that's what it was. It was an episode of True Blood. I was living in an episode of True Blood.
Right.
That is so it.
I saw your mic. It sounded good, and then I was like, "This isn't going to be the last time I travel and have to record." And carrying around my Rode is a pain in the ass. So I went.
That's a big. That is
this.
not.
I got 2 though. So if we ever do one in person,
we can both hold our little mics.
If you were with us last week, or in the previous episode, whenever you're listening to this, Josh and I went over. The Bun team finally released a blog post explaining the 1 million plus lines of code change rewrite in Rust of Bun, and in that they described a lot of the impetus. Is that the right word?
I think so. Yeah, impetus. Yeah, impetus.
Impetus
you just don't say
doing
it too often.
It's not impotence. I know that.
Yeah, I'm well familiar with that one.
It had a lot to do with memory leaks and controlling when they free up memory, how they free up memory. Yeah. They said that in Zig explicitly says, like, we're here for the performance. You're in charge of the memory.
You're on your own, bros. And bras.
They also like had the JavaScript V8 engine in there, so they're having to like in different parts of their code, they don't know who's controlling this memory. Is it free? Is it not? Did I already free it? Am I freeing it again? Is that going to be an error? And so that was their main reason. And obviously that may have come off as Zig doesn't have all the features or isn't the right tool for this job, or like Zig doesn't
shade. That was shade. That's what we
it throws
call
a bit of shade in an implicit way, right? The founding engineer of Zig, Jared. What's Jared's last name? Kelley? Or sorry, no, Jared is the Bun guy. Pardon me.
Jared is the Bun
Andrew
guy.
Kelley is the Andrew Kelley is the founder of Zig. He had some thoughts, and he put them up on the interweb.
Yes, he did. And yeah, what did you learn?
Well, I learned a few things.
Rule number 1, don't cross Andrew Kelley because he will come for you. And he brings the receipts, my friend.
He did bring some receipts, and he is generally saying this was skill issues.
He was saying that the reason behind Buns, like Buns' problems, are ultimately a result of misuse of the language or skill issues, compounded on. And
I just want to say this as well. He was very appreciative that Jared and the Bun team were donating to the Zig Foundation a non-trivial amount of money, $60,000 per year. That's a lot of money for an open source project. It's very nice. However, what does he say? Where is the exact quote? It's something to the effect of, myself and the Zig team were becoming increasingly concerned about the quality of code in the Bun project. And then he goes on to talk about the Bun company itself, and Jared is obviously like, he's a startup SF guy. He's just trying to he's following the playbook and trying to get that bag.
One of Andreessen's boys, one of the Dreesen boys. Yeah. He's been groomed. Yeah. He's been groomed by the elders.
Yeah, so he's driving to the he's driving towards a goal with not a lot of consideration for code quality or
breakage,
things we should do,
spoilage. Or move fast and break things.
And he goes into this, or work-life balance and quality of life of anyone who works at his company.
Yeah, that was mentioned.
And so, like, it was an interesting, like, there are some very objective things in here. He does have receipts, I agree, but there are some other things where he's really just putting everything out there on the table, and rightfully so. If Anthropic came after my life's work, I don't know how I would react.
I would be delighted to even be on Anthropic's radar. As I have long held, they are not returning my calls. I had yet another application to engineering manager rejected. So, yeah, I mean, if they came after my life's work, it means I've done something right.
Sure, that's true. Yeah, fine.
Also, what is my life's work? Is it this podcast? They're coming after, yelling at. Oh my God! I will tell you, Ian. The day that we get our first takedown notice from Anthropic, or from an agent at Anthropic who has broken out of its sandbox and come after us, that will be a happy day for me, my friend. I'm done. At that point, I just retire.
We retire. I love it.
So, moral of the story.
Well, I don't think the story is fully over, I would say. No. He does talk through some of the things in the actual article, in the blog post by the Bun team, and he points out a few things that, like, hey, you forgot to mention metrics like compile time and some other things that. He points this out at the top of his article. It's almost as if Anthropic might benefit in a marketing sense from the release of this blog post.
Yeah, I mean, there were some aspects of it that were really interesting and compelling, but it was quite thin, I guess, on particulars. Like it was very thin on particulars, and it wasn't written. I mean, it wasn't a particularly technical blog post as well. Which
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He digs into some of that. Oh, sorry. I do remember one of the lines in this. I remember one of that. I can't find it, but I do remember one of the lines was, he said, Jared had been producing slop long before AI was a thing, which is...
That's a sick
Ouch.
burn. All
That
right,
is a pretty
folks.
sick burn.
Yeah, points in this round to Andrew Kelley for the sickest of burns. Points, however, in the first round, points went to Jared for, I don't know, $1 billion acquisition. How much did they pay for Bun?
Yeah, I don't think Jared's sweating this one.
Jared's going to be fine.
don't know, man.
Don't worry. Jared is going to be fine versus like the open source programming language creator. So
Yeah. And this is what this is the thing that I'm working towards here, is that the end of Andrew's blog post is moving on, and he's trying to say like, okay, like I've said my piece and we're done. This week, there's an issue filed in Codeberg by Andrew, and the title of the issue is Introduce an actually memory safe, unlike Rust, compilation mode inspired by Phil C. And I'm like, dude,
that was
let it go.
That was it's always useful to remember that, and this kind of comes up too when you in the open source, like these are just people. These are people.
Yeah.
They're human beings with plenty of flaws, and I think like I don't know if there's a higher density of like you have to have something inside of you to put as much energy as you have to put to supporting and building and maintaining an open source project. I mean, it is a tremendous amount of work. And yes, a project,
and mostly
open source
thankless.
project and mostly thankless, and just you're getting all of the, I mean, it's just you're developing, but it's like you're not getting cash. I mean, developers' life is mostly thankless, but they pay you money. So if you're not kind of a company who's, open source for a company like Temporal or like Bun, or for that matter, a very different proposition, because it's like, yeah, this is open source, but we've got a main line of cash coming in and it through a different stream. The true foundational pieces of, really like the internet, Linux, GNU tools, whatever. These are deeply weird, committed people. And thank you for your contribution.
I wouldn't have a job without you.
We burned through a lot of time on that one, probably way too much. We've got 8 minutes and 50 seconds left for the main event, my friend.
We wanted to find out what would happen if we released OpenAI's agents on the internet with no guardrails. Turns out it's pretty bad.
Ian, why don't you tell us what happened last week?
Hugging Face discovered that they'd had a security breach. Hugging Face, for those of you who don't need, is like the GitHub for models. There was a lot of speculation about, is this a Chinese actor, or is this like an attack from some 11-year-old who's like blah, blah, blah. And I think I don't know if it was the CEO or someone in the leadership team of Hugging Face tweeted, "We have a pretty strong suspicion this is coming from one of the frontier labs." And it turns out we were right. And what happened, Josh?
Well, so Hugging Face got pwned, and got pwned real bad. And it was an amazing attack. They knew pretty quickly that it was agentic in nature, just by the speed and nature of change and adaptation it was doing. They came in like, in terms of attack, not like, I mean, very sophisticated, but it's more just kind of like, got a little toehold in and then spinning things off, and then credential exploit and off to the races, and just hopping around ninja fast, things like that. Interesting facts, and so to combat this, some interesting facts came out. Hugging Face has a blog post about this, really worth the read. OpenAI has a blog post about this, worth the read. And then I think Hugging Face might have a second blog post about this. There's a couple news articles, delicious stuff. Really, one of the most interesting pieces to come out of this was that Hugging Face, as the attack is happening, they're like, what is going on? We got to figure this out. Attempted to use frontier intelligence to defend themselves. So really attempted to use OpenAI models, attempted to use Anthropic, attempted to use these things. and could not use it because the guardrails of commercial models were like weren't intelligent enough to discern that this is not someone trying to commit an attack or commit an exploit. They're up because they're uploading traces, they're uploading exploit information, and so all of the models are just locking them out as they're trying to defend themselves. Of course, it was delicious that they're trying to defend themselves from OpenAI. We'll get to that in a minute. And so the way that they eventually successfully identified and I guess repelled the attack or locked it down or shut down whatever they needed to shut down was to use a Chinese model that they were hosting themselves. And it was GLM 5.2, I believe. And that worked great. That was like, yeah, no problem, boss. What do you need? Oh, yeah, let's get in here. Oh, here's what's
do
happening,
anything you
boss.
ask.
You know, unless you're one of these sort of blessed entities. And I was actually a little surprised that Hugging Face didn't have access to Mythos, by the way. Well, so
That's
like,
a good point, actually.
Oh yeah, no, that surprised me a lot because I really would have.
I think they do now.
They would have. Well, it's good. I mean, that's good publicity for Anthropic, right?
Or I
It's
saw
just
that.
like, oh, hey,
yeah, no,
guys.
maybe it wasn't. Well, it might not be Mythos, but it's one of the OpenAI ones that is the Mythos equivalent at OpenAI. They were like, okay, we should probably give this to you.
Before we get into OpenAI's part in this, which is interesting, let's pause here because I think there's a few really interesting things that will come out of this. One, it is an intolerable risk for a company to depend on frontier models for support or defense. So like, that's just going to be a factor. That's just going to be a fact, actually. It's like, you don't know what will happen. Even if you get Mythos access, Anthropic, you know, maybe you trigger something and suddenly you're cut off. And it's like, that setup at least is intolerable. I mean, I'll just tell you, like, as a business person, like, no, you can't not push all your chips in on, especially, and this happens at Google too, where like, they'll just be like, oh, well, you triggered, I think we talked about didn't we talk about like a Google thing where they just shut somebody's account down? And
Oh yeah, no, that's one of the reasons I moved to an iPhone was because
they'll just lock you out of your account, and then you're stuck in like automated agent response.
Hell,
land
you
trying
can't
to
get a human
access,
and you're
trying to
screwed.
get your
Yeah.
phone to work.
You've lost everything. Yeah, no, 100%.
You've lost it all.
And I'll say too that we talked about you did talk about you were trying to see and test like the
Fable's
guardrails on
guardrails.
Fable and like how you can trigger downgrades, right?
Yeah.
And you were doing that,
Yeah.
and they're pretty broad.
Yeah, no. This also. So you have this confluence of events, right? You had the Fable clawback by the U.S. government, and so they put even more sensitive guardrails on it. So that's even more triggered. You had the government holding back OpenAI's release, and the government's position on this is totally incoherent, totally ad hoc, really, really bad for people who are trying to navigate reality or the world. This also will impact like how and even what's made available. So this, like, in terms of, because this was a really successful attack and exploit, and I think the governments of the world are going to start to really. So the second part of this was OpenAI.
OpenAI. It's off the top,
chuckle
hypothesis.
Over at OpenAI. What?
Was this just a marketing exercise?
Doesn't matter, actually.
No, it doesn't. Actually, that's a good point. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm stepping off of my stool. My butt is
Yeah,
hurting.
that's what I wanted.
real bad.
That's what I was waiting for. Was that awkward straddle? And folks, if you have never, I mean, most of our audience probably old people, but if you have never seen Star Trek: The Next Generation, go on YouTube and Google Riker chair sit supercut. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm done. But do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about,
about,
but it made me think of. Are you familiar with what was the other show that Jonathan Frakes was the
I know
host
where
of?
you're going. Yeah,
Where it's all slowed down and he's just drunk Jonathan Frakes for like 10 minutes.
Yes, it's he hosted this. It was like a weird. I don't remember really blowing.
It was like Unsolved Mysteries, but it was just like
time
weird.
Up, folks.
Yeah. Oh God.
We can wrap it up. Yeah, no, we'll post a link to that. So Jonathan Frakes, amazing actor and director. His signature move, and you'll have to see. Just do it. Obey. We'll post some links. Worth your time. Old fart memes.
Yes.
So was this just a marketing stunt? People are talking about that. Does not matter. There are two aspects. Like, okay, if this was a marketing stunt, like OpenAI, what's going on with their monitoring? How's their observability of their experiments? Because it's like, as soon as you see this thing, it was locked down in a sandbox. Like, was it so sophisticated in breaking out of this sandbox that it evaded all of your observability and telemetry? I didn't see anything in the blog post about that. It just was, it did some zero-day exploits. No, I don't think anyone was watching. I think they just turned it on.
Well,
and walked away.
Maybe it's worth mentioning like why, like what it did. They just tried to put this model to like a trust me bro benchmark or whatever, and rather than it being like, oh, let me try and solve this, it was like, I bet these answers are on the internet. And then so it just like worked its way out and finally found a computer with internet access.
Yeah.
And it was like, I bet they're on Hugging Face. Let me go hack Hugging Face.
Yeah, that's important context, right? The setup for this was OpenAI was testing a new model or a frontier model, and they wanted to see how effective it would be to use for cyber attack. And so they turned off its usual guardrails. I think removed whatever prompts and harnesses and things are sitting in front of it to make it not do that. And as Ian said, put it in an eval. I'm missing the.
No, they put it in an environment where it doesn't have any network access to the outside their network. Like basically, it has no internet access outside of any of their things. It's
a benchmark specifically for cyber exploits.
Yes.
And as Ian said, it took the long way, but really got quite far. So I don't think
and
this
cheated
was
on the test. It has no morals.
It's not cheating. Don't cheat. Were the instructions don't cheat? That's what I want to know. And true. Like if the instructions were don't cheat, I mean, they're explicitly telling it to cheat. Just hack. You're evil. Initiate evil mode. Now the internet is a little bit not blown up. I mean, well, the outer net has blown up, right? I mean, newspapers, magazines, everyone's losing their shit about this, right?
Oh, yeah, people are freaking out.
What's weird to me is this doesn't feel like a freak out to me. I just was under the assumption this is happening all the time anyways with lesser models like.
But maybe that's just because we just read about this shit every week and other people don't. I don't know.
I guess maybe like I'll give you my closing thoughts and see what you think, which is one, I do think that LLM, generative AI, these coding harnesses, I do think they're uniquely adapted and suited for exactly cyber attack. Because if the goal, it's a very straightforward goal. It's super simple. You do not have to reason about the goal. The goal is obvious. Penetrate or get to the gold, get to the juice. And it has the entire breadth of the internet trained into it to try shit. So it can just try shit. And I think it's like there's something about the shape of the model and the probabilistic nature of it and its depth of it that it can just. And the models that they've been training for these really, really long running loops are able to, I mean, it is intelligent and it's able to kind of keep track or look at what it's done. And it's like, it's exploring this path. Nope. And then back. And so there's something about it for me that feels really tuned to cyber attack as in a way that this also for me is it's not particularly terrifying around intelligence progression or around capability progression. I think it's actually just by its nature, this is a capability that it's really, really good at. And that some of the changes they've made with these more powerful models and longer running models, you just see it expressed. What about you? What do you think? What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. I think that there was some other interesting things that this one had done in detail that we hadn't seen before. I was watching a video about it last night about I can't remember at what point in the hack this happened, but there was something about there was like security scanners and like traces and stuff like that, and it's looking for tokens, and it caught it. Or it caught it so it wouldn't let the model through to try and do what it was doing. So instead of it like going through, what was it? It basically got into an environment, but it broke up the token into multiple lines and then reassembled it at runtime after it got through the scanner. I have to look up the details on that.
I missed that tidbit. That is,
but it's doing shit like that now, which is just like it's thinking it's thinking on its feet.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely.
So, but it does. This all does feel like an evolution. Like it doesn't. I think one of the more interesting things is what you mentioned earlier, which is just that the only option that Hugging Face had was to use some open source Chinese model to solve this.
Yep.
Right? And
Yep.
I think that also too, this kind of goes back to the cost of all these things and all this stuff, is that we're going to get to a point where Anthropic and OpenAI are not the only games in town. And I think that there might be a world in which those like other people, whether they be like this, DeepSeek or whomever, continue to figure out ways to make more and more powerful models at like a lot less of a cost. Like training them doesn't cost as much as it does right now, and that's going to start to like accelerate. And when that accelerates, the giant $200 billion circular financing really becomes whoops.
Good to see you, friend.
You too, buddy.
Always a pleasure.
You just survived another episode of Yelling at Robots. Better luck next time.